स्वागत है आपका दोस्तकास्ट क्लिप्स में। ये है मेरा शेमलेस अटेम्प्ट ताकि आप अभी क्लिप्स देखो और बाद में जाके आप एडिक्ट बन जाओ और पॉडकास्ट देखो। सब्सक्राइब करना मत भूलना।
The thing that I keep telling people is this, that Hindutva now is the most dominant political ideology of the day, right? We've got the BJP, which has ruled for 10 years already. It might rule for 5 more or 10 more, who knows? But nonetheless, Hindutva as an ideology is not going away. You know, even if the BJP loses in 24, right? Let's assume that it does. Even if it does, the ideology is not going to suddenly go back, because I think ये 10 सालों में ऐसा हुआ है कि the Hindu identity has become a very very strong part of the discourse, not just politically but as the book shows you, even culturally and socially. तो वो हिंदू आइडेंटिटी को आप सडनली आप नहीं कह सकते कि नहीं ये सब खत्म हो गया है, you know, BJP is lost, now that is not going to happen. So the more we engage and the more we understand what is driving people to accept Hindutva, to normalize it, to popularize it, I think the better engaged we will be and the better we will be able to understand what is happening in the country.
You know, some of the critics of the left often say that this is a response to how the Abrahamic faiths have always been polarized, how they've always consolidated their political identities, how they've always maintained कि यार हमें this is who we are, this is what we stand for. Many of them on the right say this was a long time coming and there should be a case where Hindus should in a lot of ways understand their place in the world and actively assert it and proudly, right? I agree with that. My problem is, at what point does pride become malice? वो आपको पता नहीं चलता है, right? अभी आपने ये किस्सा सुना है हिंटरलैंड से। कोई एक थिंकिंग रैशनल पर्सन एक कैजुअल इंसिडेंट ऑफ लाइक अ कैजुअल इंसिडेंट ऑफ कम्युनलिज्म मुंह से कुछ उल्टा सीधा बोल देना मुस्लिमों के लिए ऐसे कर देगा, बट देन स्टिल गो अबाउट देयर डे, दे लिव इन अ मेट्रो सिटी. But when you are living in close clusters and villages and आप ऐसे indoctrinate हो रहे हो, the chances for what you would do increase like by a lot. So what do you think is the alternative to a Hindutva world, because we're clearly living in it?
I think it's interesting what you say about the sense of Hindu pride vis-a-vis other religions, and this sort of feeling that this was a long time coming. I think the beautiful thing about Hinduism, and I'm born into a Hindu family. Hinduism has been an integral part of my life since my childhood. The beautiful part about Hinduism that it was accommodating, right? It could accommodate you if you went to a temple. It would accommodate you even if you didn't go to a temple. It could accommodate you if you sang the Gayatri Mantra. It would also accommodate you if you didn't.
Correct.
Right? You could be confused, you could not be someone who's overtly religious, and you could still find a place in the Hindu religion. No one would say, नहीं आपको ये करना ही है, अगर ये नहीं किया तो आप हिंदू नहीं हो. That was the beauty of Hinduism as it existed. Unfortunately, I think we've started conflating Hindu pride with Hindutva pride, right? Hindu pride can mean that you take pride in your religion, you can take pride in its rich cultural legacy, in everything that Hinduism stands for. But it can't mean the exclusion of others. It can't mean that, it can't mean the sense of supremacy in which you are constantly looking down on fellow citizens just because they don't belong to the same religion. I think that is something that we've started conflating. I think Hindu pride doesn't have to necessarily mean a xenophobic, Islamophobic sort of characterization. And I think that is insulting to the religion. The religion doesn't stand for that. The religion doesn't stand for you saying कि आप अगर मुस्लिम हो या क्रिश्चियन हो तो आप हमसे नीचे हो, right? That is not what the religion at all stands for. Having said that, I think what we're seeing is that this kind of popular culture that exists is very successful in conflating the two. वो आपको ये बताना चाहता है कि जब तक आप मुसलमान से नफरत नहीं करोगे तब तक आप अच्छे हिंदू नहीं हो. Right? And that is the problem. That is the problem, because that is the way to radicalization. That is the way to slow, normal radicalization and polarization towards people who are around you. तो वो आज हो रहा है. इसका alternative क्या होगा? इसका alternative मेरे जहन में is going back to the good old values of Hinduism, like it existed till say 10-12 years ago, right? Where we could respect every other religion and yet we could have our own space to do what we wanted to. I think that was the counter to it. The counter exists. Counter को पैदा करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, because this is not who we are inherently. Right? You said that this has been a while coming, because for 70 odd years of our country's existence as a post-colonial state, as an independent state, हम ऐसे नहीं थे. Yes, there were instances where, you know, where communal riots have broken out. There have been instances where we fought within the country between different religions. But inherently, we were not people who excluded each other or who went around shooting or killing each other because they belong to the other religion.
Right.
आज वो हो रहा है. आज individuals are feeling emboldened enough to say कि अगर तू मुसलमान है तो मैं तुझे मारूंगा. He doesn't have to belong to a Bajrang Dal. He doesn't have to belong to a VHP. आपने जैसे देखा होगा हमारे मुंबई की एक ये घटना है where an RPF constable,
I saw that. Yeah.
right, has a dispute with his senior. उसको छुट्टी चाहिए, छुट्टी नहीं मिलती, has a dispute, he kills the senior. What does he do next? He takes the rifle, he takes the automatic weapon that he has, he goes and walks around the railway bogie and he looks at Muslims कि कौन मुस्लिम दिख रहा है, अच्छा इसके पास इसकी दाढ़ी है, इसको निकालते हैं. And he shoots in cold-blooded moments. He kills all of those Muslims that he can spot. And then he goes on to lecture people about how Modi and Yogi are the people who are going to save the country. This is not what we had seen so far. And this is the problem now. This polarization has led to people like him believing that the only way that Hindus can exist is by killing Muslims. And that is not what Hinduism stands for.
अगर आपको ये क्लिप पसंद आई, make sure you subscribe to Dostcast Clips.